The Carolina Panthers are standing at a crossroads. One decision could change everything. The question isn't just who starts at quarterback this Sunday, it's whether Bryce Young should even be out there at all. It's been a strange week in Charlotte. The locker room feels tense, the air feels heavy, and the whispers haven't stopped. Everyone, from the players to the fans, is asking the same thing: is Bryce Young really going to play this weekend? He hasn't been ruled out yet. Officially, his status is still up in the air. But after rewatching that clip, the moment his ankle twisted awkwardly beneath a defender's cleat, it's hard not to cringe. It wasn't a gruesome injury, no, but it was the kind that lingers. The kind that turns into something worse if you rush it. Still, Bryce is built different. The kid's a competitor. Every time you count him out, he fights to prove he belongs. And inside that Panthers facility, there's a quiet battle going on, one between medical caution and a quarterback's pride. Head coach Dave Canales knows it. He's been careful with his words this week, preaching continuity and health above all else. He's talked about the team's rhythm, how their chemistry, their foundation, has started to settle in during this second year together. And he's made one thing clear: if Andy Dalton has to start, he trusts him completely. But that's not the story everyone's watching. The real story is Bryce. Because you can feel it, that stubborn fire inside him. This isn't a player who sits easily. Bryce is pushing, grinding, testing his ankle every morning like it's a personal challenge. He wants to be out there with his guys. He wants to lead. Andy Dalton knows it too. The veterans even said he'd love the shot, but deep down, he's rooting for Bryce to be healthy enough to go. That's the brotherhood this locker room has built. But let's be honest, this decision isn't simple. A high ankle sprain isn't something you just walk off. Bryce's game depends on that movement, the quick escapes, the subtle sidesteps, the magic outside the pocket. If he can't move like Bryce Young, is he really helping this team? The coaches will say it's a collective decision, but at the end of the day, it'll come down to Bryce himself. If he feels 80%, maybe even 85%, he's going to tell Canales he's ready. And that's where things get risky. Because there's a fine line between being a warrior and hurting your own team trying to be one. Still, if you know Bryce, you know which side of that line he's likely to choose. When it comes to Bryce Young, everything starts and ends with movement. His footwork, his rhythm, his ability to slide away from pressure and make magic out of chaos, that's what defines him. But with a high ankle sprain, that magic fades. Every step becomes a reminder of pain. Every drop back, a test of balance. And that's what makes this situation so complicated for the Panthers. Because even if Bryce can play, should he? Sure, they could build a game plan around the run, lean heavier on the ground attack, protect Bryce by keeping the ball out of his hands more often. It's a strategy that might hide his limitations for a while. But football doesn't reward hesitation. One awkward step in that pocket, one twist the wrong way, and suddenly this short-term gamble becomes a long-term setback. Coach Canales and the staff know this. They've watched players push through pain before, and they've seen what it costs. The team already made one hard decision this year, shutting down linebacker Pat Jones for the season after back surgery. It wasn't easy, but it was right. Protect the player now, so he can still be great later. And that's exactly what the Panthers must decide again. Is it worth risking your franchise quarterback's future for one early season game? Still, if Bryce feels 85%, if he can plant and drive just a little, there's no doubt he'll fight to suit up. He's that kind of player, the kind who refuses to sit down when his team needs him. The coaches might preach patience, but Bryce is wired for urgency. Every rep missed feels like a step backward. Every snap taken by Andy Dalton feels like a challenge. And speaking of Dalton, the veteran is ready. Calm, poised, and quietly waiting for the call. He's not Bryce, no, but he knows how to steady a ship in rough waters. There's also a small silver lining in all of this. The fact that Bryce hasn't been ruled out means this injury might not be as bad as everyone feared. Maybe the timeline won't stretch into weeks. Maybe this is something he can come back from faster than expected. That's a win in itself. But while the spotlight burns on Bryce and Dalton, there's another Panther who deserves a moment in it, punter Johnny Hekker. Yeah, you heard that right. The punter. Because while quarterbacks and wideouts get the headlines, Hekker has quietly been one of Carolina's most consistent weapons. Against the Jets, he pinned the ball inside the 20-yard line 4 times, flipping the field, buying his defense breathing room, and turning field position into opportunity. That's the kind of unsung work that changes games, even if it never trends on social media. Punters don't get love. They don't get highlight reels. But they can change everything in a single kick, and Hekker's doing just that. He's 5th in the NFC for punts inside the 20 this season, averaging nearly 47 yards per boot. That's elite. The truth is, football's full of heroes that no one notices until something goes wrong. The linemen. The gunners. The kickers. The punters. They're the backbone of the operation, the ones who make the stars look good. And for the Carolina Panthers, right now, they're the ones keeping this team standing while the rest of the roster heals. Sometimes, being a Panthers fan means diving into the wildest trade rumors the internet can throw at you. And this one? This one might take the cake. A post started making rounds in one of the Panthers fan groups, and it lit the comments section on fire. The proposal? Trade Chuba Hubbard and Andy Dalton for Shatter Sanders. Yes. You read that right. The logic, apparently, was that with Bryce Young banged up, Carolina should swing for the fences, grab Deion Sanders' son, the flashy Colorado standout turned Cleveland project, and reset the quarterback conversation. But the moment that idea hit social media, chaos followed. Some fans laughed it off immediately. No way. Crazy talk. Others got defensive. Man, it's a damn shame Panthers fans hate their own players. And a few just dropped memes, turning the thread into comedy gold. But buried underneath all that noise is a serious question: would this team actually benefit from a trade like that? Let's break it down. First off, absolutely not. You don't move your starting running back and your most reliable veteran quarterback for an unproven young passer just because your starter's nursing a high ankle sprain. Chuba Hubbard isn't just another name on the roster, he's been one of Carolina's heartbeat players this season. A guy who fights through contact, blocks, catches, and brings stability to an offense still searching for rhythm. You don't just trade that away, not when you just paid him like your RB1. And Andy Dalton? He's the perfect safety net. The kind of veteran who's seen every coverage, who doesn't panic, who can walk into a huddle on Sunday morning and have the whole team believe they still have a shot. Every team needs a guy like that, especially when your franchise quarterback is still learning how to lead. Now, Shatter Sanders, there's no denying the kid's talent. He lit up college football at Colorado, showed incredible poise under pressure, and his confidence is through the roof. But the NFL is a different beast. And right now, his journey in Cleveland is already proving that. He's got tools, but he's also got flaws. Timing, decision-making, pocket awareness, the things that separate highlight players from true pros. So yeah, the idea of Shatter in Carolina sounds exciting on paper. The headlines would be massive. The jersey sales would probably break records. But football isn't built on headlines. It's built on fit, chemistry, and trust, and right now, Chuba and Andy bring all three. And let's not forget something bigger, the message that kind of trade sends to your locker room. If you move on from loyal, productive players just to chase the next big name, you tell every guy in that room that loyalty doesn't mean much. You tell them that effort is replaceable. And this Panthers team, for all its struggles, is trying to build something real. Something sustainable. Something that lasts. So, yeah, keep the memes coming, because this one belongs in the crazy trade rumor Hall of Fame. But as far as reality goes, this team's focus should be on getting Bryce healthy, keeping Dalton ready, and letting Chuba continue doing what he does best, carrying the weight when things get heavy. Because flashy trades don't build champions. Consistency does. Sometimes, being a Panthers fan feels like standing on the edge of a storm. Every week brings a new question, a new debate, a new wave of emotion. And this week, it's all eyes on who's under center. Bryce Young's recovery from that high ankle sprain still hangs in the air like Carolina humidity, heavy, uncertain, and impossible to ignore. The coaching staff hasn't made the call yet, and fans are split right down the middle. On one side, you've got those who believe Bryce should rest, heal up, and protect the long-term investment. On the other, fans who want to see QB1 fight through it, lace up, and lead the team back onto the field. But one thing's for sure, if Bryce isn't 100%, the Panthers have one of the best insurance policies in the league, Andy Dalton. And the fans haven't forgotten that. One fan wrote, "Hey, the last time we saw Andy start, the team wasn't nearly as good as it is now. With this roster, he might surprise some people." And that's the truth. Carolina's offense has matured. The run game is stronger, the line is meaner, and the receivers are finally finding rhythm. If Dalton steps in, he's stepping into a much more stable system, one that can let him manage the game and still make plays when needed. That same fan added something worth holding on to: the Bills can't stop the run, and their secondary's been exposed. Andy could throw for 250 and 2 touchdowns while we rush for 150 more. Keep pounding. That's the kind of confidence Panthers Nation needs right now, not blind hope, but belief grounded in reality. Now, when it comes to Chuba Hubbard, fantasy owners are sweating it out too. One fan mentioned, "I'm hoping for at least 17 carries this week." But that calf injury complicates things. He could have a breakout day, or struggle if that leg isn't fully ready. My advice? Keep him as a flex if you've got him. He's facing a weak rush defense, but he's not quite at 100%. Don't risk your entire fantasy week on one man's calf muscle. Then there was another curveball from the comments: "What's wrong with Russell Wilson? He's still pretty good, in my opinion." And honestly, that's a fair question. But the truth about Russell right now is simple: he's inconsistent. One week he looks like the old Russell, dropping dimes, commanding the huddle. The next, he looks lost, forcing throws, taking sacks, making you wonder what happened to the calm, lethal leader who tore up the NFC for a decade. The difference is expectation. Russell's playing under the weight of his own history, and when you've been compared to Rodgers, Stafford, and Goff, the standard isn't just good. It's greatness. Anything less stands out. So yeah, he's not the worst QB out there, not even close. But he's not the same fire you build a franchise around anymore. And that brings us right back home to the Panthers' own fire, this ongoing, exhausting, but passionate quarterback debate. Bryce or Dalton? Future or now? Caution or confidence? This team, this fanbase, has seen it all: rebuilds, heartbreaks, flashes of hope, but through it all, one phrase has carried them forward: keep pounding. So as Sunday approaches, the question isn't just who starts. It's who leads. Because sometimes, it's not the healthiest player or the flashiest name that wins you the game, it's the one who steps into the storm and refuses to flinch.